A window washer on his way to work in New York City picks up a guide on how to succeed in business, sending him soaring through the ranks of the worldwide wicket company and finding love along the way. In the 1967 musical satire, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And that's the movie we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
Dear reader, this little book is designed to explain everything you need to know about the science of getting ahead in business. Your first step is to memorize all the simple rules in the chapters which follow. If you have education, intelligence, and ability, so much the better. But remember that thousands have reached the top without any of these qualities. If you are anxious to rise quickly and easily to the top of the business world, the time is now. Strike while the iron is hot. Are you ready?
I'm ready!
Good. You are about to begin your swift and daring rise to the top.
This book is all that I need. How to succeed!
You know, as someone with a little bit of voiceover experience and also plenty, even more experience, like watching old 50s kind of like informational shorts that were they're just so corny. I love them. I think that guy is actually the guy who did a lot of them. The guy who's the voice of the book. You know what I mean?
Like, did you ever watch any of those old Disney Goofy?
Oh yeah,
and like the Goofy character that is.
Absolutely.
Like this is what this movie reminded me of. Were there were times like when you were a kid where you'd be like up super late at night and just watching TV?
Yeah.
That's what happened. And like, I remember those vividly coming on when I was like super late at night. I don't know how late at night that really is, but I loved those so much. I love those little Goofy shorts. In fact, sometimes I wish like things like Disney Plus would play them. I'm sure I could find them on YouTube or something like that, but it reminded me of those. And yes, that type of narration and that type of, it's not just the voice itself, but it's that type of narration that it's a part of the story. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm an English teacher. That's what I do. Part of my day job is an English teacher. And, you know, I teach my kids throughout the year. I'll teach them about, like, I teach 8th grade. So I teach point of view. I teach first person point of view. And I teach third person point of view. And it always had this question. Some kids will ask me, what about second person point of view? There is a second person point of view. And a lot of the times, and I'm probably not doing the justice of it, but a lot of times what second person point of view is the narrator talking to the character, while the narrator himself is not technically talking to Pierpont. I almost said his name wrong. While he's not technically
Finch, basically.
While he's not technically talking to Finch, he is sort of talking to Finch because it's like, you know, it's the reading. And so it kind of reminded me of second person point of view. And as you could probably tell by this point, I love that in this story. In fact, my one big critique about this is I actually wish there was more of that in this particular movie.
Well, it's like, first of all, going back to what you said about the Disney stuff, it's like what you said about the Goofy shorts, about the narrator and that. I think it probably is the same guy. And I grew up with watching those Disney shorts too. I had them on VHS tape, you know, and I used to plug them in whenever I was sick. And usually on Thanksgiving, you know, I remember Fox 5 would air like a whole day of Disney cartoons for probably, I don't know why. Everyone has a marathon on Thanksgiving and they just had like Disney cartoons. But watching those, it's like, it brings back a huge nostalgia boost for me. It actually kind of rubs off, gives it a little extra shine in the movie, like not even intended. I think those Goofy shorts with the narrator probably helped me ease my way into enjoying some of the 1950s B stuff that those things are based on. It's kind of like a nice little overlap. It's like a touchstone for so many parts of the things I love. And so that really, the movie kind of had me a little bit even from there. And which is good because this movie as a musicals do not generally tend to resonate with me. We've watched, I think, like 2 before. One of them was a complete bomb. It actually created a whole new category for us who put it in at the bottom. But the other one is, you know, I think Fiddler on the Roof. And that, of course, went the other end of the spectrum. it's not a guarantee that I'm going to like a musical. In fact, it's actually got the deck stacked against it a little bit from the get-go because you have to do it just right in order for me to get past my defenses. And this movie actually gradually, not at
Yeah.
first, but gradually, it kind of worked its way away at me a little bit at a time. And it's like, you're going to like me. It's like, I haven't gotten you yet, but you're going to like me. And the more, yeah, and the more it did
Yeah.
that, it's like, yeah, I do like it. I am going to like it. I am liking this. It's like, and by the end, it's like, I was just completely on board with it. But that's kind of the oddity of this film is that as a musical, that's what it did for me.
It's not the musicals for me. I have to kind of give a confession here. There's a certain time period of movies that I'm going to be real with you. I'm kind of like, There's movies between like, I'm going to say 65 to about, early 70s because we don't go past 75. There are certain times where like that style that you see in this movie, the clothing, not so much the color. I'm not going to say anything about color. I actually really like the fact that these movies are super colorful, but like the style of clothing, the style of like, there's a lot of style in the movie. I actually don't like that style. I kind of hate it. Hate it's strong word here, but I don't like it. And sometimes those movies that come out in that time period, I'm also just more a little bit like, on. Like, I don't like to watch them as much. Kind of the same thing happened in that same vein that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, I don't know. I just felt like I was going to dislike this movie the whole entire time. But I'll tell you what started really pushing me over. The way he acted in this movie, Robert Morse.
Yes.
One of my things about him in this movie is that I was like, he needs to be on screen the whole entire time. Like, he doesn't need to miss a single moment of screen time in this movie because he's so goofy. He's so funny. He's one of those characters that's like, he's roundabout the smartest character in the room at any given moment.
Yes.
And he's always like wiggling his way around everything. And it's his mannerisms, like his super up close personalness to everybody. Like, he'll get in their faces. And it's like they just eat it up, and we're eating it up with them because it's just so funny, and it's just so goofy.
I have to say, I mean, Robert Morse, I've never seen a movie with him in before. I feel like I didn't recognize the name. I haven't seen him before, but as soon as I started to get used to what he was doing, it's like, why haven't I seen more of this guy? I had to look into his IMDb stuff, and the only thing I could find that I even came close to seeing, if you want to call it that. Do you remember those Rankin Bass animated stop motion stuff from your childhood, like Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph's Shiny New Year?
Yeah.
There was one of them called Jack Frost.
I love all those.
Yeah. Do you remember Jack Frost? There was one about Jack Frost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jack
Did he
Frost.
play Jack Frost?
Jack Frost was the one who played the voice of Jack Frost is Robert Morse, and that's the only other thing that I've ever seen him in. And it's like, so this movie was kind of like a revelation. In that it's like, I wish there was more of him out there to see. And I'm like, because for me, he strikes this perfect balance of two other actors. One of them I hate, and the other one I really like, and wish there was more of him as well. The one I hate is Jerry Lewis because of his mugging. And Jerry Lewis mugs in a way that I find grotesque and kind of off-putting and makes me want to throw up. I don't understand why some people like him, but there is a fan base out there for that. But he's like a toned down. It's like you turn the dial down from 11 down to maybe like a 7 or 8. And that was like the perfect sweet spot for the kind of mugging he does because he balances it out with other things. It's not just like he's turning it down. He balances it out. And then the other actor is Mark Hamill, who is more like a physical comparison to, like, I think it's in the eyes. But he kind of reminds me of Mark Hamill too. And Mark Hamill can have a pretty wicked sense of humor too. He just doesn't get a lot of chance to unleash it in a lot of the stuff you see him in. But he does have that. And it's like, especially if you ever see Mark Hamill in an interview, he's got that kind of characteristic about him. So it's like he's got all these really wonderful qualities. I want more of this guy, and there's just not that much more out there to be having. But I'm really glad he's in this because, like you said, you want more of him all the time. And anytime the camera goes away from him, the movie does take a dip down a bit. Not catastrophically so, but noticeable.
Here's the wild thing. This guy has like actually a pretty big filmography from film to television. So he died in 2022 and he was acting all the way up until 2019, where his last role was Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans, which is a movie that like you can watch on HBO Max and things like that. He's in multiple Alfred Hitchcock Presents products. So that's television. He's in 12 episodes. I'm just saying things now. He's in 12 episodes of the Jonathan Winter Show.
See, all these things I've never seen. These are things I've never seen.
He's in an episode of Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh,
Now,
goodness sakes.
he's got a lot of voice work. Tiny Toons Adventures, All Real Monsters, The Rugrats. He's in Superman, the animated series. And he's just playing like one-off bits. So he's not doing a lot of stuff. Although he's in 58 episodes of Mad Men.
I saw that. And again, I haven't seen Mad Men. It's like he was trying to deliberately dodge my radar, you know? He's out there, but he's just dodging it really well.
He was also in the 2014 episode of The Legend of Korra, one of the Avatar sequel series. So it's like he just kept on working.
Yeah. But it's one of those quietly behind the scenes kind of guys. He's almost never shows up in front of the camera. Kind of like, again, Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's career over the years turned much more to voice acting.
Voice acting is just so, so great. And like you kind of say with that, I will also add to this, like he just kept being in theater. Like he's in theater from 1955 to 2017. But like that's just like, he found something that he clearly loved and just kept on keeping on with it.
Something you had always said about how you like characters who kind of always seem like they're light in their feet. They always get away with what they're doing, kind of a thing, which can be obnoxious, but when it's done really well, they did balance that pretty well in this movie too.
Characters that are always winning, you don't always want to see that in movies, but it's just kind of funny that it happens in this particular movie. And again, I will say this, probably one of my biggest critiques of this movie is, and this may be just me, I just wish we would have focused a tad bit more on the actual, it's not an actual book that I know of anyways, but I wish they would have focused just a little bit more on the book itself. Like, how to succeed in business without really trying. Like, if I changed anything, I would have maybe like a title card every so often of like chapter 1, and then like actually show like how chapter 1 interacts with that. I mean, it did a really good job of that, but I just like it showed how he was winning. And I thought like, that's what I wanted, a little bit more integration to it, because I did feel like there was times in this movie that it just kind of forgot about the book.
And one of the other things I liked about the book, it's always kind of like he's reading it. Yes, it's helping him get success. He's getting ahead of it by a page or two, so that he's like, I wish I had read that like 5 seconds ago. I love that there are those moments too. And as far as the other characters go, I wish there was a little bit more substance to I guess if they were going to go, there is a romance, obviously. He has the romance because it kind of motivates him to, go back to his better angels, to remember not to lose himself while he's climbing the ladder. The only thing I didn't like about that, if I had my one big critique of the film, if I had one, is like toward the end, I guess this Rosemary is the girlfriend, is that she comes back. It's not clear that she knows what he did in her absence, that he actually made the right choice. And even though he succeeded, yes, but it's like she needs to know that. And so when she comes back to him, that it's not just expected that because he's successful now. It was a little unclear. I think it would have been fixed by like a line or two of dialogue. That's all it would have taken. And it's my one critique. And I do get it. The romance is secondary to the overall plot in this kind of movie. And at least the way they've done it. I don't know if in the original material it was a little bit more strongly portrayed, but at least in it's like I felt that part of it could have been that much more successful at its part if it just had like a line or two there. It's a small thing, but it's not a small thing.
I don't really care that she had a crush on him right away. That's perfectly fine with me. I kind of wish they had just a tad bit more screen time together so that we could build up more of that. Because I will say this, sometimes that's what musicals do. Like, it's like, here's the love interest, and then like, they're just kind of the love interest throughout the whole entire thing. And then bam, you have that, you kind of have that thing. I don't know. So I agree with you when I say like, and I think the fix to that is like 10 more minutes of the story probably helps us better connect with that.
Yeah.
And better understand it a little bit more. We knew that she liked him. We knew that he liked her. We knew that one of his hang-ups wasn't her at all, but it was putting the business in front of everything else. And he was kind of ignoring her because of that,
Yeah.
in some ways. And then, like, he realizes at the end, oh, like, this is what I really want. I mean, I want to have the business. I want to be able to do all this stuff. But she's ultimately like, I can't do this without
I
her.
can't do it without her. Yeah.
And it's just, again, we just need we just need a little bit
A
more
little bit
time
more
with
time with
that,
that.
just to sit with it a little bit.
You could have done with like a tad less of the musical part and a tad more of the other. I will say that as musicals go, it's much more balanced between like how much dialogue scenes there are versus how many musical singing songs segments there are. And because one of the things one of the aspects of musicals that will kill it for me is when you can't even take a 5-second breather between songs. It's like yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
hate about musicals when they get like that. It's like, give me a breather at least, It's like this movie did that for a long time. It still had a lot of songs. I can't even count. I can't remember how many of them are. There's just that many. But you could have done a little bit less with that and filled in, like I said, a little bit more dialogue with that, which is a strange thing to say, having just said that it's balanced really well. I think they just could have rebalanced it with that in mind.
One of my notes says, I think this movie takes place in like the span of a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in the span of a week, this in the span of the week, we have our main character, Finch, go from being a window washer to being the chairman of the board of the company.
You're getting close to the end of the movie, and finally you think, well, he's been cornered. They're about to force him to sign the paperwork to basically give up his job and leave. And it's like, and then I'm going to go back to what I used to do. It's like, what was that? It's like, oh yeah, I was a window washer. And then it's like what's it, the CEO, I guess the chairman of the board saying, I was a window
He's the
washer.
chairman of the board. Yeah.
And it's like, and it's the look that comes over his face. He did it several times in the movie, but it's like the look that comes over his face. And he's just and he gives this one short glance at the camera. It's like that one moment of recognition to the audience, that little breaking of the fourth wall, ever so slight, but it's so perceptible, so definite on his part. And it's like, that was like chef's kiss for me. It's like, oh, well, there you go. Oh, goodness sakes. Oh, man. Go ahead. What's your verdict, man?
There's a lot of things about this movie that I really like. I really like Robert Morse's character. For those of you that, even if you didn't like this, for those of you that watch The Office, one of the things that his particular character reminds me of, because of his smooth talking ability, is later seasons of The Office after Michael Scott. The character Michael Scott went off. You have David California. You have Robert California, and Robert California does a similar thing, although we don't really see it on camera. But he does a similar thing that Robert Morse's character does, and that is he finds himself, he talks his way up into the very upper echelons of the company. Like he starts out trying to become the regional manager of this Dunder Mifflin branch of Sabre, and then he walks out, he goes to the corporate office, and he talks the owner of the company basically out of her own job. He doesn't become the owner of the company, but he talks her out of her own job, essentially. I don't know if he becomes the CEO of the company, but he does something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this movie, and I just couldn't help but laugh, because also that happened in the span of a day in that show, whereas in this movie, again, this happens in like the span of a week. I thought that was hilarious. I'm telling you right now, if Robert Morris' character was on screen 100% of the time of this movie, I would have given it, hands down, Fortune and Glory. So you can say that, like, okay, so if I'm watching Robert Morris, it's a Fortune and Glory. Now, there were some things about the movie that, I'm just kind of like, on. The music's not memorable to me, but I did think the music worked. And like Justin said, it doesn't like overwhelm you with music. The only time the movie just really faltered for me was when Robert Morris wasn't on there.
Yeah.
So I just went a tick below. And that is, it's a trust me. And
Okay.
it's a trust me where you could watch this multiple times and have a good time watching it multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
I think, like I said, if he was on screen the whole entire time, Fortune and Glory all the way. Whatever. Other than that, trust me. Also, too, like I've already mentioned, I really wanted like more of the book and the narration from the book. I thought that was wonderful. And we just didn't get it. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Like, this doesn't hurt the movie to a degree of like anything below a trust me. So yeah, trust me, go watch the movie. You can find it on Tubi. You can find it on YouTube. But that's the beautiful thing. You can
Yeah.
find it on both those places. You can watch them for free on both those places. So go watch the movie.
Yeah.
You'll have a great time.
Well, I am right where you're at. I mean, not for the same reasons necessarily, but I landed in the same place, and it balances the dialogue heavy parts very well with the musical parts. And actually, I appreciate the fact that I can't really remember all but maybe one of the songs. There's one of them that keeps playing in my head. It's like "I Believe in You" is the one that kind of still sticks with me. Maybe that's because it's sung twice, throughout the course of the film. And, maybe that's just what I need for to enjoy more musicals, for just be less musical. It's an ironic thing. I will say there is this goes to just kind of a trivia note, is that there was a remake of this done in the 80s, which I actually went to see in theaters. Actually, is starring Michael J. Fox under a different title called "The Secret of My Success." And I was going into the movie thinking, well, I remember enjoying that at least somewhat, so this movie's probably not going to be as good as that one. So it was a pretty low bar at the beginning, but it's like actually this one surpassed that one, because the other one, they take away, like, they kind of turned it into a bog standard kind of rom-com. It did some other things, but not very originally. So it basically just copied some of the basic elements without some of the more fun elements. The remake actually suffers in comparison for that, because it makes it less unique and less special. That said, yeah, this one, this is totally going to be something I come back to a number of times. If I just want to have like a fun time, just, a movie that kind of cheers you up, doesn't take itself seriously, it's just kind of a nice way to kill a couple hours, with someone, especially if you got someone, to watch it with. It's fun just to share a laugh, that kind of a movie. So yeah, do go out there. This is a trust me for me, totally. So we're in the same place. At this time, Ryan and I would like to remind the listeners out there that if you're having a good time, listening and following these movies with us and discovering actors like Robert Morse, if you haven't seen him before, just like we hadn't, please do like and subscribe and comment. And of course, follow us in your podcast purveyor of choice. Tell us what you think we got wrong. We're just, imperfect human beings here sharing our opinions. And of course, let us know what films you'd like us to watch in the future. We've got one coming up, actually, that's going to be doing just that, actually. I think our next film is actually going to be that. Do tell the folks what we're in for next week.
All right, here's a treat. Now, some of you are going to hear this name of this particular title. If you've been watching along, you probably already know what we're watching, believe it or not, because we kind of talked about it last time. But some of you are going to hear about it and think, oh, this movie? But no, this is actually not this movie. It's this movie, but it's the earlier version of this movie. I'm not sure if this is the musical version of this movie or another musical version of this movie. But anyways, I'll go ahead and tell you the things, and probably some of you will know immediately when I say the plot. So, Seymour, a clumsy young man working in a flower shop, nurtures a plant and discovers it's carnivorous, forcing him to murder to feed it. This is directed by Roger Corman. The cast is... Now, there's a name here that some of you will know.
Yeah, I hope so.
Some of you might know some of these names already, but there's a very famous name on here. This is starring Jonathan Hayes, Jackie Joseph, Dick Miller, Jack Nicholson, who I'm guessing either plays the plant or is going to die. It's one of those two things. But I'm pretty certain he's probably going to die in this movie. And Mel Wells. This is the 1960s, so earlier version, not the Rick Moranis version, of Little Shop of Horrors.
I was thinking this was Jack Nicholson's first film, but apparently it's not. But he is very young in this one. And of course, if you guys are familiar with, if you remember our previous Roger Corman, endeavors, this is not the first collaboration between them either. This is not the last collaboration. This predates the next one that we saw. We saw The Raven and The Terror. That's what it was. He was in The Raven.
Was he in both?
He was in The Raven as the boyfriend / son of one of the wizards, and he was in The Terror as the guy, I guess it's the main guy, the protagonist too. All Roger Corman films. So looking forward to that one. I've never seen this one. I, of course, have seen the 1980s one that you mentioned with Rick Moranis, because I think most people, if they're familiar with it, have at least seen that one. Great musical in that. There's some great music in that one too. Speaking of musicals, I'm not anticipating this is going to be a musical though. So we'll find out. I can't think of anything else to say, Ryan. So you got anything else to say?
I do not. Go watch these films.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye, folks.
Why don't you go home?
I'm waiting for the elevator.
Why don't you walk down?
It's 30 floors.
Why don't you jump?